Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
With the stock market at all-time highs, are we due for another correction? Stay tuned to find out how to protect you and your money.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, five-time author and fiduciary, the money missionary himself, Tony Walker.
Welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am Tony Walker, and you're about to take a 28-minute or so journey into the world of savers. By the way, are you a saver or are you an investor? And I think this show, we touched on this in the introduction. With the stock market at an all-time high, today's recording is September 12th, 2017. The market's at an all-time high. Could we be in for another market correction? And if so, if that were to happen, is your money really protected? Well, this could be one of the most important shows that we cover in a long time. If you're a saver and you're worried about the return of your money, you need to stay tuned. This is going to be a really, really informative show. So again, are you a saver or an investor? Well, to find out, I created something called the 3 personalities of money. And I would encourage you to go to this website right now. It's an actual free test you can take online. It only takes about 5 minutes. I had several of the psychologists in the psychology department at Western Kentucky University, my alma mater, and I've got a degree in psychology from there, but helped develop this test so it is completely non-biased, and all it's trying to do is help you discover your true financial personality. So why don't you log on to 3personalities.com, take that test, and we can talk later about the results. So who is a saver, you might say, Tony? Well, here's the definition of a saver. A saver is someone who is concerned more with the return of their money than the return on it. Now, the investment world loves to harp about this concept of rates of return, or ROR. You're constantly hearing, and I'm a registered investment advisor, I talk about it as well sometimes, but you're constantly hearing the Dow Jones Industrial. You're constantly hearing about the S&P 500, for instance. Those are the major barometers that we in the investment world try to use to determine rates of return. So, you know how you know if you're really a saver personality or not? When you hear about the Dow and the S&P and puts and calls and blah, 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 you could really care less about such matters. That would be a saver. And a saver simply wants to know, okay, all that sounds good, but here's the real question a saver has. Can I lose money in any of these investments? So at the heart of the worry-free retirement is the saver personality, not what we would call the investor personality. Let's just put up our mission here, Aaron. By the way, America's favorite financial sidekick helping produce the show. Doing a great job of it, by the way. But here's our mission. At Tony Walker Financial, the Worry-Free Retirement, our mission is this: helping savers worry less about money, period. Again, with the stock market at all-time highs and banks paying next to nothing in interest, you might say, what's a saver to do, Tony? Well, we go back to the go-go 90s. This was back at a time when I used to have a TV show in the 90s called Your Money Matters. Again, that was a show that really did deal a lot with the stock market, because back in the 90s, I used to manage money. We were making tons of money for people. You remember the go-go 90s? I mean, there was a little bit of a flaw back in 94, but for the most part, it went through the roof. I can't remember the year, but Van Wagner Emerging's growth, return on investments, the rate of return, in 1 year alone was 280%. Can you imagine? It was crazy. But as we all know, what goes up eventually will come down. And sadly, as we record this show, ironically, one day after the fateful events of 9/11, as the Twin Towers came crashing down, so did the stock market. Talking about a panic. I can remember my phone ringing off the hook. Well, you couldn't even do anything because the stock market closed for the entire week. And not only did the Twin Towers come down, so did the market and also my clients' money. And they started calling me and asking me, what should we do? And sadly, here was my response: hang in there. Wow, those were real reassuring words. I can't even believe that's what I said. But you know what? I didn't really have any options back then because I had fallen into the trap of being so consumed and so reliant on an unpredictable market such as the stock market. Now granted, we're going to talk about annuities today in detail. I used to sell annuities here and there and, variable annuities, fixed annuities. But I'd kind of fallen off the radar screen in terms of annuities because of the stock market and putting so much money there. So here's the truth about the stock market moving forward, okay? Nobody, that includes nobody, yours truly or anybody you see on TV, I don't care how smart they look or how angry they look, nobody can predict what the stock market will do in the future. Nobody. You can't time the next stock market correction. You can't time the next terrorist event. If you're a saver, what you want and what you should desire is guarantees and certainties that your money will not go down in value. That's what a saver should have. Now, granted, we have some of our saver clients that have some money in the market, some, but not all. Now, so what is this magic bullet, Tony? How can I possibly make money on my money without losing any money? The answer? It's simple. It's a product I discovered shortly after 9/11 and began using. It's called a fixed indexed annuity. And again, this is the only financial instrument. We're going to go over in detail in a minute. I'm going to show you an example. You're going to be blown away when you see how this product can perform not only when the market goes up, but more importantly, what happens to your money when, not if, when the market goes down. You're going to find out in our next segment why I have over 2,000 clients. Now again, I've been using these products since 9/11. I've had over 16 years to watch these play out. Why I have over 2,000 clients who own these contracts. Why I myself have 2 contracts with a lot of money invested in them. Why I moved my wife, who's a nurse. She moved out of one 401k to another. We rolled that 401k into her own IRA. She has one of these. And why it will sustain any stock market crash no matter when it happens. So if you're a saver and you're sitting there saying, well, yeah, Tony, I'm more concerned about the return of my money than on it. I want to know more about these products. You want to stay tuned. I'm going to get the whiteboard out. We're going to show you how a fixed indexed annuity is going to help you be more worry-free. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Worried about running out of money in retirement? For a limited time, 5-time author and retirement specialist Tony Walker is making available his latest book, Mailbox Money for Life. For your free copy, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. Just looking at our latest publication. This is my 5th book, Mailbox Money for Life. You got to get a copy of this. Go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call us at 877-499-WALK to get your free copy. This is a great book. And by the way, we will be having our last workshops in November, one in Louisville and one in Bowling Green. So check out the website there as well and register to be at our last workshop of the year. And it's actually going to be called Mailbox Money for Life, again in November. But by the way, a lot of people get confused on this. You do not have to attend a workshop to meet with me. In fact, I would recommend if you have a pressing need, maybe you've got a 401k, pension, money languishing in the bank, maybe you're just tired of the fees you're paying and you want a free fee analysis and want to meet with me in person, let's get started now. Don't wait. Go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started button, and we'll get you on the road to a worry-free retirement right away. All right, let's get at it here. Aaron says, chop, chop, Tony. We got to watch our time. I've got to cover this. Very, very important stuff. So if you're just now joining us, if you would like to see a way, a proven way, where your money could go up, a portion of it, you'll see this in a minute, if the stock market goes up, but whatever you make, it will not go down when, not if, when the market goes down. What would that be? You'd say, and it's a fixed indexed annuity. Now let me set the stage here. There are more and more people offering these. And you might say, well, Tony, I even see people from Wall Street saying they hate annuities and don't do annuities. You're going to see this in a minute. There's 2 totally different camps. And ironically, there's few advisors like myself that work in both sides of the camp. I've been trained on the Wall Street side and I've been trained on what we call the fixed indexed annuity side. I'm very, very competent on both sides of the equation, and we do both. A lot of advisors don't understand fixed indexed annuities. They don't offer them, and you're going to see in a minute, they don't pay recurring fees to those advisors, and that's one reason they don't like selling them. You got to get out and actually hustle and sell these things because they pay a commission to advisors like me who sell them. All right, so let's get after it here. I've got my cheat notes, and what we're going to do here, I'm taking a 10-year snapshot of the S&P. Now, generally, if you're talking to somebody from Wall Street, they don't ever want to talk about the bad stuff. It's always the best 10 years. Well, I'm going to go the opposite. I want to pick out a 10-year period of time where the market did not do very well. Because, folks, that's the whole point. Certainly, while the market over the long term has always gone up, we're talking about retirement planning here. You could have a period of time where this market tanks like it did, we're going to show you here, and it's an emotional roller coaster for you. If you're a saver and you've got all your money in the market, maybe right now you're 60 years of age and you're still working, we need to meet. Because if you've got all your money in your 401k in the market and you're going to retire in 3 or 4 years and that market crashes, goodbye retirement, you're going to have to keep working. So you want to follow along very closely with the logic of why you may want to start considering a fixed indexed annuity. All right, need a couple of different pins here. So we're taking a 10-year snapshot. We're going to imagine that I put $100,000 in 2000, the year 2000, in the S&P 500, or I put $100,000 into a fixed indexed annuity with what's called a participation rate of 52%. Now again, right now the participation rates are around there. They can go lower, they can go higher. Actually, during this 10-year period of time, we're going to go from 2000 to 2009, the participation rates averaged more than 52%. So we're just using the current participation rate. Keep in mind they can change, all right? So let's kind of go through this in detail. In 2000, the S&P went down over 10%. So let's start putting values up here, Aaron. So that means your $100,000 in just 1 year immediately went down to $89,000. Not good, right? Can you imagine? You just get ready to retire and this happens. Well, 2001, it goes down again 13%. Now you've got roughly, I'll round these off, $78,000. Well, this is looking good, isn't it? Nothing like a worry-free retirement, right? 2002, the market went down over 23%. You're now down to around $59,000. Can you imagine? Seriously, imagine you had $500,000 or something in a 401k, and now all of a sudden it's down to $250,000, $300,000. This is what actually happened, folks. Now, it did rebound in 2003. By the way, if you talk about the annualized rate of return, the S&P with dividends during this period of time averaged 0%. But see, that's the average. That's what you're always hearing. And people say, well, it didn't really lose any money, did it? No, this is what actually happened. There's the real rate of return and the average rate of return. I don't care about average rate of return. I want to know the real rate of return. And this is what actually happened, okay? So in 2003, that's fine. It went up to around $75,000. You're still $25,000 behind. Let's kind of move forward here. It went up to $82,000. So yeah, the market's rebounding. That's great. 2005, let's see, I'm getting a little small here, Aaron. 2006, 90, again, we're rounding off here, just kind of giving you ballpark. Okay, 2007, 99, you're almost back to 100. But how many years has it been and you're still not quite back to your original value? Talking about lost opportunity cost. Whoops, 2008, 2009, we remember that. We dropped back down to around 61,000. And finally, at the end of the 10th year, we're up to 75,000. So after all this time, you're down 25,000. And can you imagine if you've been retired and you needed this money? You'd probably be down to 25 or 30 depending on your withdrawals. This leaves me speechless, folks, when you really think about this. So again, could this happen in the future? We don't know. Did it happen in the past? Yes, it did. So how does an annuity work, Tony? What was going on during this period of time if I had had a fixed indexed annuity? And in this example, it's just an example, it averaged a participation rate of 52%. And you might say, Tony, what is a participation rate? Well, what happens with an annuity, each year the insurance company, that's who issues these contracts, will look at your contract, and in this case we're using the annual participation rate of 52%, and all they're going to do is take 52% of what you made. And you say, well, Tony, I didn't make anything. In your example, I lost 10%. That's the beauty of the fixed index annuity, because in this case, zero is your friend. You didn't lose anything. And your value is still, this is called a new floor, is still at $100,000. So if you're a saver, what did we say? More concerned about the return of your money. You haven't lost a penny. Now, get our booklet, the Annuity Decision Guide. That's a great booklet for savers. Obviously, there are surrender penalties. There's all kinds of things with annuities. We'll get into that at some other show, or we can talk in person. We're just talking about the functionality of how a fixed indexed annuity works. So don't go off in the weeds on me here. Just look at what's going on. So that actually did happen. Well, the next year you say, oh my gosh, Tony, surely the annuity went down. I'm down to 78 over here. Nope. Remember, you cannot lose money with a fixed indexed annuity. So your value is still 100. This is why, by the way, we call these products, have that trademarked, sleep insurance. Folks, you go to bed at night with a fixed indexed annuity. If the market crashes overnight and you wake up, it doesn't matter. Your annuity is not affected by market downturns. Let's keep going. We got another 0%. You're starting to say, man, 0% is my friend all of a sudden. This doesn't look too bad. As I look at my buddy over here who's down, almost lost half their money. Now, this is the beauty of the fixed index annuity. The market goes back up. Remember, our friend over here in the market has to wait for it to come back. See the problem here? See the worry? We don't have to, because this is called a reset contract. So it goes up. So we make 52% of 26. That's roughly, so we just made a return that year of 13% with no risk, which brought our value up, look at this, to $113,000. Look how much farther we're ahead of the person in stock market. Isn't this wild? This is really cool stuff. So I'm going to do the math real quick. All we're doing is each year we're taking 52% of the market gains. This may not be to scale. Again, I got to watch my time here. You get the gist of this. 708, 1.04. Look at that. In 08, the market went down 38%. We go down 0. Let's kind of fast forward. We're up to $131,000. We've had no losses. This thing just keeps climbing. When there's a 0, we have a new floor. And then finally, we make some money in that last year of over 12%. I'm going to put this real big, roughly $147,000. All right. So let's kind of summarize this. This is cool. It really is cool that there's a product that can do this for savers. So let's summarize this. You've been over here with Wall Street. We went back over the period of 2000 to 2009. You wake up one day after 10 years and you've only got $75,000 of your original 100. And we're not even including withdrawals you might have to take, which would be disastrous. Okay, not what I would call worry-free, particularly if you're a saver. Okay, now we come over, if you had been in the fixed indexed annuity from 2000 to 2009, in this example, we're averaging a participation rate of 52%. Okay, that's a variable. The insurance company adjusts those, but in that period of time, the participation rates were actually even higher. A lot of people say, boy, those annuities have really improved. Actually, annuities, fixed indexed annuities, are not providing as high a return as they used to be. They're providing income riders, which is a new feature, which is great, but really the older indexed annuities back during that time when we were selling those provided a higher participation rate based on the bond yields. There's a way they have to value those. So really, the newer indexed annuities aren't paying as high as the old ones. So again, we're being very conservative in our assumptions here to go back and look at this. I just want to preface that. So what happens is when the market goes down, we don't lose anything. Goes down again, we don't lose. Goes down again, we don't lose. It bumps up, which again, the person in the stock market in this example is still down. What do? We pick up $13,000 added to our new floor. And it continues to go up. And so what happens in this example, over that 10-year period, this is phenomenal when you think about it. Let me write this real big. With absolutely no risk, and this is just a true participation, no fees. That's another thing. If we came over here and you're actually with an advisor, they'd be charging fees on this. We haven't even deducted the fees out of here. So you say, well, why don't, again, Tony, I'm confused. Why don't more people at least offer these products to me? Folks, you have to understand. Wall Street, I'm not against Wall Street. Wall Street has an important place in our society. I'm all about Wall Street as a financial entity, but you have to remember, this is not in their wheelhouse. These products do not pay recurring fees. The agent, such as myself, gets a one-time commission and that's it. So if you're a money manager and you're trying to build your assets up and you're charging fees, this ain't going to fit the model. It's not going to work. So a lot of brokers out there are not allowed to even sell these products. The firms they work for don't even sell them. So we at Tony Walker Financial, that's why I'm an independent fiduciary. I don't work for anybody, I work for you. In fact, we have a new sheet that we've created as a fiduciary where what we do is we go through all of the main fixed indexed annuity products that we offer, and we constantly monitor those products. We'll even show you in person how we arrive at our conclusions. Many of you are running out and buying fixed indexed annuities. You don't even know what they're selling and why they're selling them. We do our due diligence and our homework, and to make sure as best we can, there's a bunch of them out there, as best we can, we're offering you a very competitive fixed indexed annuity. So we would like the opportunity to meet with you. Why not take advantage of a product like this and at least check it out? Even if you currently have an annuity or an old annuity and you're thinking, I don't think my annuity works like that. My annuity has all these fees. Let us review your annuity. Let us review your brokerage statement. Let us talk to you about a 401k rollover. Did you know what? If you're 59 and a half or older, you can, in most cases, roll that 401k out now. You could still contribute to your 401k, but why wouldn't you want to safeguard some of that 401k while you're in your 60s? Come on now, don't keep putting all this money at risk. Go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com right now. Click on the Let's Get Started button. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to review your situation. Do it today, do it now. Well, what's the Bible have to say about annuities and stock market crashes? Nothing, but it does have something to say about people who are know-it-alls and why certain people would tell you not to invest or do certain things that could be of help to you. We're going to discover that there is something out there called a financial Pharisee, an interesting concept that you better be aware of. I'll be right back, but I got to get me a cup of coffee. You stay tuned.
Worried about running out of money in retirement? For a limited time, five-time author and retirement specialist Tony Walker is making available his latest book, Mailbox Money for Life. For your free copy, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Feel like the financial world is making more money on your money than you are? Tired of working hard to save money only to get 1% in return? Well, I'm Tony Walker, inviting you to meet with me in person to create a safe and simple game plan that includes Mailbox Money for Life. To schedule your no-obligation appointment with me, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. While there, just click on the Let's Get Started button and we'll make that happen at your convenience. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Oh yeah, a good cup of coffee. I hope you're enjoying the show, and we've got to really move here. We have been talking about two totally different camps or trains of thought, if you would. We got the saver, that's those who we help, and those are the people who are more concerned about the return of their money than on it. And then we have the investors, those who tend to work with Wall Street, and of course Wall Street tends to cater their message towards these people. It explains why most on Wall Street do not recommend annuities, because they are insurance products. They're really not investments, all right? So what does the Bible have to say about annuities? Of course, it has nothing to say, but it does have a tendency to address people who tend to be know-it-all, but all along are sometimes just simply blinded to the truth. Here is the truth. We are all wired differently. Some of us are more bent towards what I call the saver personality, and some of us are more bent towards the investor personality. There's no right or wrong answer here, folks. There's no one size fits all. Both savers are good people and investors are good people. The problem doesn't lie with the people, it lies with the financial Pharisees of the world who think they know it all, and it's either their way or the highway. Now, John 11 gives an account. I'm going to speed through the actual account, but it's an account of a man that is dead. His name is Lazarus, and whom Jesus is asked to help. And Jesus decides to just raise this man from the dead. And I'm sure everybody would agree here, but that's a pretty big miracle to be able to raise somebody from the dead. And the problem with all of that is Jesus is running around claiming to be the Son of God. You have these religious Pharisees who don't like that idea at all. And then here comes Jesus with one of the greatest miracles known to man. And what do they worry about? The reaction of the people. Because some of the people see the miracle and are drawn to Jesus. Some of the people run to the Pharisees and tell them about what Jesus just did. And here's the interesting part. Let's go to verse 48, Aaron. John 11:48. And here's what the Pharisees say about this wonderful miracle. You would think they would go, wow, that's impressive. What do they say? If we let him alone, that's Jesus, if we let him alone like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation. Wow, isn't that interesting? Rather than rejoicing in what Jesus has done and the way he's trying to help others, the Pharisees are worried more about themselves and their gig, and the gig falling apart if Jesus really does start connecting with the layman out there. They're worried about losing their followers. And this, my friend, is what I'm worried about as you keep watching these people on TV and reading articles and Googling all these people that are bashing annuities. Folks, annuities have been around much longer than most investments. Annuities are really just pension plans. The first pension plan was created around the Civil War. That's all an annuity is. It's a guaranteed income that you can never outlive. So you say, well, Tony, why do they do that? Who are these financial Pharisees? Well, I have to take some slack from them. Maybe they just don't understand why savers want guarantees. It could very well be that they just don't understand the importance of guarantees to the savers. Or they may just be like those financial Pharisees we just talked about. They don't want to lose money out of their pocket that would transfer to them, because they don't sell annuities, over to people like us who do. So that's the financial world. And if you're sitting there saying, well, Tony, that kind of makes sense. Maybe that's why I feel like they care more about their money and what they're doing with my money than they do me. If you're in that camp, why don't you give us an opportunity to meet? Go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. There's two things you can do. Number one, you can click on the Let's Get Started button and we can meet right away to discuss your situation. Or number two, you can order our newest guide. It's called Mailbox Money for Life, and it'll show you how fixed indexed annuities can provide lifetime income you can never outlive, and yes, keep your money from being risked in the stock market. So again, go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call us anytime at 877-499-WALK. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program. I know I've enjoyed being with you. I'm Tony Walker, and until next week, you remember to be worry-free. Make it a good one.
Thank you for watching the Worry-Free Retirement with Tony Walker. If you need a safe and simple game plan for your retirement, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and schedule a free, no-obligation meeting with Tony.